Good morning, and welcome to Recovery Central. Morning, Ronnie.
Good morning, Richard.
And how are we today?
Very well, thank you. Very well. Bus is a bit of a nightmare this morning, but yeah. Apart from
Well, the buses in Birmingham have been a nightmare for weeks with all these roadworks.
It's roadworks everywhere, and I was thinking this morning, I thought, why on earth didn't they just do the roadworks when we had the COVID thing? But then, of course...
No, that would have been way too logical. Way
Yeah.
too logical when everyone's at home to do all these roadworks. No, we have to do them when people have gone back to work.
Yeah, but of course we still had COVID, so then poor workers would have...
But now it's just in time for the schools going back again,
it
because
is.
they're back this week, I think. Well, most places they're back this week.
Mm.
And when you've got bypasses that are only down to one lane, you know that something's a bit wacky, don't you?
Why do they decide to do both sides of the road at the same time, or both lanes? Why can't they do one side and then the other?
I'm
Anyway.
sure it will improve our lives when it eventually finishes, like HS2, it will finish by the time I'm 90.
Not long then.
Well, not long, no, only 40 years. Is it 40 years till I'm 90? Roughly. Just over 40. Anyway, what have we got for you today? Mistrust, misplaced trust, hostage taking, and whatever on earth Reg and company are getting up to this week. And also, we are going to talk about drunk cleaning. Having looked at drunk shopping, drunk cleaning is next on the list, in which I will hopefully spend 15 minutes laughing at myself. Let's start with a letter. Dear Jim, Jack and Jess, since my fiancé was unfaithful to me 6 months ago, I never fully trusted him again. He said it was over with Sally and she moved away, so I believed him on that one, but he hasn't changed the way he behaves around other women. I can prove this because I asked one of my colleagues at my new job to follow him for a while. She's produced a detailed dossier covering all the times he's been flirtatious or suggestive with other women. Also, she's pointed out the times when he's most vulnerable to having an affair. She showed me how to tap his phone without him knowing, so I can monitor his whereabouts at any time of the day or night. This is very useful because then I can assess just how little or how much he's lying to me. Michael has always been a liar and I accept that. However, his lies have become much more sophisticated since he had the affair with Sally. From my colleague's notes and my computer records, I've also been reading his phone messages, emails and other correspondence. I've compiled a handy list of which other women I think he might be likely to have an affair with. Obviously, I intend to confront them all, armed with a can of pepper spray and a taser, just to put them in their place once and for all, making sure they leave him alone. I'm going to have to give up work because of all the surveillance I have in place on my wayward fiancé, so I need a credible excuse to give him to allow me to continue my important work without him being any the wiser. My colleague says I should plant someone close to him, ask her to try it on with him and see if he bites. She says that way we'll know for good. I'm tempted to do this, especially as she's volunteered to do it, and I already know I can trust her. What do you think I should say to him so he believes my reasons for giving up work? Do you think deploying my colleague as an affair prospect is a good idea? Please advise, Hayley.
There's so much to read into that, isn't there? His colleague wants to obviously catch her man.
Well,
if I've read that right.
It's the vulnerability, I think.
Yeah.
It's that I don't trust him because he was unfaithful, and now she's got paranoid about it.
Mm-hmm.
And she's got paranoid about it whether he's done anything or not. And it's paranoia to the point of keeping all these detailed notes.
Yeah, definitely.
What I would question is whether this has come from her or from the colleague. Whether this is actually a scheming person taking advantage of her.
This is what I was thinking. That's what, towards the end of the letter, that's exactly what I thought. Because she's volunteered to be the guinea pig to see if he will take her advances. Maybe it's an easy way for her to see if he likes her.
Yeah, that's plausible. And obviously the extremity of her reaction means that someone's been fueling that fire. Mm-hmm. Because, of course, what she's saying here sounds completely and utterly insane.
Of course.
But she must have been pushed towards that, surely. And she's clearly very vulnerable at present. And while, interestingly, there's no mention of the drink or the drugs.
Oh, yes, of course.
I don't think there always needs to be, because human beings behave in defective ways. Mm-hmm. And human beings can be vulnerable to other human beings being devious.
Definitely.
And the behaviour here, it's often indicative of the kind of thing that we find in early recovery.
Yeah, definitely.
Actually. And I think it more likely that he's the one in early recovery.
Mm-hmm.
If that's the case, I think it's far more likely that he's the one who's come back and said, no, it's going to be different now.
Yeah, definitely.
And that she's worried about it not being different now, which is what's underneath it all.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why she's been so influenced by this, quite frankly, devious colleague, I think.
Yeah.
And it sounds to me like the colleague is very much behind most of this.
She shouldn't be stoking the fire, should she?
And in all of this, we don't hear what the bloke thinks at all.
No.
I'm imagining him just wandering about oblivious.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. And by the sounds of it, I mean, she's already got emails and text messages, so there's obviously nothing incriminating
Well,
there.
if he was doing anything, she'd have found it.
Of course, she would have found it, so, you know.
But it's the overreacting again, isn't it? And regardless of the fact that there's no mention of drink or drugs in here, the overreacting is an addictive trait.
Yeah, it is.
And it is something that putting 2 and 2 together and making 5 is something that frequently happens when we're not quite calibrated right. Some of the things we did mean we have to learn them again.
Learning how to trust people and...
Yeah, and like that other one we read about trusting the wrong people.
Yeah.
And that's what she's done, isn't it? She's probably only said a couple of things and suddenly it's turned from this molehill into a huge mountain. I understand the being paranoid because he's been unfaithful. Definitely. What I don't necessarily get is how extreme this has got, and I don't see how it can have got this extreme without someone pushing her along the way.
Somebody's definitely, like her colleague. I mean, she's got to the point where she would leave her job.
And it's like anything, isn't it? Why can't they just talk to each other? No, that would be way too much to ask, wouldn't it?
Just sit down and chat.
When I got sober, it was like, I'm going to avoid any kind of relationship for some time because I could see that there were 2 factors in all my relationships. One was that the guiding factor in every relationship I got into was me.
Yeah.
And the second was that they were all unbalanced in some way.
Yeah.
And it was that lack of balance that kept getting me into trouble.
I can imagine.
And situations like this I've seen happen. I've seen them happen time and again. And maybe it is the reason why it's said you shouldn't do a relationship early doors.
No, definitely.
It's because you're not really equipped to do it.
No. And sometimes you can put your recovery in their hands, can't you? And
Well, there's a thought, yeah. Indeed. And I'd like to grab hold of this colleague of hers and say, no.
what? Yeah.
No.
What are you doing? Do you realise the consequences?
You know, you are preying on someone completely vulnerable here, and then there's this bloke in the middle of it who doesn't know you're following him.
He's oblivious.
And he's probably not doing anything. What's going to happen if he does? He's going to do something that's innocent and get misinterpreted. This has got a film written all over it, hasn't it? Now it's time for the dialogue, which is partly about denial and partly about insanity and partly about attempted hostage taking.
A hostage taken. Oh.
Well, an attempt anyway.
Oh, okay.
Not necessarily a successful one. So let's see how we go with this. So?
If I have to do a test...
What? No. You didn't.
It was a mistake.
You did?
I didn't mean to.
Oh, bloody hell.
It was an accident.
An accident?
Yeah.
Hang on.
What?
How can that be an accident?
I didn't intend to.
What, you just tripped over and happened to land face down in a bucket of Coke? Did someone leave it in the kitchen just in case one of you needed to have an accident?
Don't be stupid.
You're telling me not to be stupid?
I can explain.
No, you can't.
But
You can't just explain that you went and picked up.
it wasn't like that.
It wasn't like what? Fact is, there's only one rule in this house. Well, the only thing you can actually get kicked out for. It's not that difficult, is it?
I thought you'd understand, of all people.
Why?
Because you.
Oh, because I relapsed while I was in rehab before, because this is the second time for me.
Well, yeah.
Which part of that were you listening to?
I don't understand.
No.
When you said that...
When I told you all about that and where it took me, it wasn't so you'd think, oh great, I can relapse in here and come back, because that's what Lenny did. It was so you'd learn from my experience and not make the same mistake.
Oh, I knew it wasn't a good idea to pick up in here.
So why'd you do it then?
I don't know.
Have you been listening to anything they've told you in here?
Of course I have.
I'm not so sure.
I know I'm an addict. I shouldn't gamble.
You shouldn't gamble.
No.
You lost your house. It was because of your gambling debts.
No, but If I had a job, I could have paid them off.
Dear God, am I in a parallel universe here?
And then I wouldn't be in this mess.
Come again?
If I hadn't been framed at work, if that stupid secretary had kept quiet about it, and
But I thought you borrowed money from the company.
no, I was going to pay it back.
That's not the point.
Isn't it? She didn't have to grass me up.
You're missing the...
I was going to put it back the very next day, and nobody would have even noticed.
How?
Well,
Where was the money coming from?
I knew I could get it.
Where from?
I was playing.
Oh, you were playing a gig at Madison Square Garden, were you?
No, I was playing poker at Tony's. And
Hang on, isn't that where you said you used to cheat until he got found out?
it wasn't true.
What wasn't?
I didn't cheat.
But you told me you did.
I didn't cheat that night.
Oh, so that makes cheating all right, does it?
I was going to break my legs.
Was he? Well, how dare he?
On the night, I didn't cheat.
Oh, I see. The one time you don't cheat is the night you get found out, and now you feel hard done by.
None of it was fair.
Life isn't fair.
You don't know what I mean.
What? Because you're special and different?
Well, no, but
You're not making any sense at all here.
all I'm doing is trying to explain.
To explain what? Why you've been here 3 months and taken no notice whatsoever of anything you've been told?
I tried to explain, but they keep telling me that I've got myself in a situation. And
Well, you did.
no, I borrowed that money from the company account because I had to take a mortgage payment and get it paid that day.
And you were planning on cheating at poker to win the money back and cover your tracks.
It was the only logical thing to
There's
do.
nothing logical about that. Why were you in debt on the mortgage anyway?
Because I lost my job.
But this is before you lost your job.
Oh, but I'd been unlucky.
Unlucky? You're wandering about, coked up to the eyeballs, swigging martinis you can't afford and pretending to be James Bond, stealing money from your employer and lying about everything. Is that it?
It wasn't like that.
And now you've been given a chance at recovery, you decide to screw it all up by relapsing in a dry house. And all because you knew someone else had done it, so you thought it would be alright.
Now you're not being fair.
You need to tell the truth.
But
And it starts now.
what do you mean?
You're going to do that test and tell them what happened when it comes out positive.
But I can't.
It's the only way to help yourself.
But I'll be homeless.
They might not see it that way.
Oh, come on. There's no point telling the truth.
I cannot believe you.
So I thought, what if you gave me a piss sample and I used it
You
to...
what?
Because then you wouldn't know. And
To top it all, you're trying to take me hostage.
But I need help.
Which means you need to help yourself and get honest.
And I thought you were my friend.
Real friends don't co-sign bullshit.
Well,
So you tell them first, before the test,
I can't.
or I will. So he's massive gambling debt,
Yeah,
and he says, I shouldn't gamble.
I shouldn't gamble.
And his solution to his financial problems, which he can't see have been caused by his gambling in the first place, is to go and gamble some more.
Go and gamble more and... Oh.
And the one night he doesn't cheat is the night he gets in trouble. So by the time he's asking this other guy to give him a fake piss sample, he's already showing this warped logic, this crazy view of how he's going to get himself out of his mess. I worked out very quickly when I started
Yeah.
writing stuff down for step 4 that a lot of the solutions I was using, the reason why they failed is because they were always mine.
Yeah.
And my capacity for infinite solutions that didn't work went on and extended for a long way over many years. And this guy is trying to find his own solution to everything, so he can't see the wood for the trees, can he?
Of course you can't.
There's no way of seeing the wood for the trees if you're in it like that and thinking, well, I have to do this, and it's what he's always done, so he's going to get what he's always got.
Yeah, of course. You know, you always think you know a way out, a way to cut corners, a way to do it your way, which never works, and that's why you end up where you are, in a rehab centre.
Do you think the other guy can help him?
You could if he gives you a piss bowl.
But that would not be the right thing to do.
No, I think the other guy could help him if he actually listens to him. Yeah, definitely. I mean, you know, he's saying the right thing, isn't he? Just tell the truth.
I think when the whole thing is looked at in context, I think it's quite probable that they wouldn't necessarily just kick him out on his ear straight away. Not if he's never been there before.
No, definitely. In that, you know, I should imagine they'll give give a chance, and you know, people do make mistakes. Relapse can be a part of someone's journey. So,
Speaking from my own experience, it has been part of mine. I mean, it doesn't necessarily need to be.
no, definitely
But
not.
it's this kind of thinking that we need to nip on the bud, because this is already galloped along in his own head, hasn't
Yeah.
it? Before he's even spoken to the other bloke.
He could probably save himself right about now by doing the right thing. He'll probably get another chance. Whereas if he continues acting out on what he's thinking he's going to do, then he could end up completely messing it out on the streets.
Yeah. Drunk cleaning. The other day I was talking to talking about various jobs I've done. The job I did when I left university, I worked in catering for a while, and then I got a job working the campsites. And obviously a major part of working on the campsites was cleaning accommodations. And people would leave an amazing mess, or they would actually leave it cleaner than when they arrived. There was great variance with this. And because of the weather, the particular summer I was there the first time, it was really, really hot, and in those canvas tents it gets up to God knows what. It's like being in a microwave. And there I am trying to clean the ground sheet, and there's sweat pouring off. And I'm thinking, I need to start doing this at 5 o'clock in the morning. And obviously in that kind of environment, a lot of people live hard and play hard.
Yeah, definitely.
So my cleaning sometimes got the better of me, in that either I would be rushing in, practically hurrying them out at 4 o'clock when they were driving off to a ferry, or I would be doing it slipshod. And someone would come and complain and say, this hasn't been cleaned.
This hasn't been done.
And I'd think I'd done it when I hadn't. And I think back to the way I was before I came into treatment, while I was trying to look functional, and while there were still people visiting me at times, I was still making this attempt to make it look as if I'd cleaned. And so what began as, I'd have one frenetic morning where I'd start cleaning and then think, oh, I know, I'll just get some cider because I deserve some now. And then I'd carry on cleaning, getting more and more insensate. And it would mean that every few days I would clean the same thing once and not clean the rest of the flat. And it was just pure haphazard. And eventually I reached the point, of course, where I didn't clean at all. But in the same way as shopping.
I've got a story on cleaning, just a quick one. I had to start working for a place where I was staying because I couldn't afford the lodgings anymore. It was one of those backpackers places, and I remember running out of money. They said, you can work for us for your board, and I did do. And I basically was constantly being told that I've left my flip-flops in the rooms, or I've left an item, my cigarettes or I used to shower in the rooms and everything, and I was supposed to be cleaning them, and my manager said to me, you're missing something. I was like, no, this is a flip-flop. One of the customers has found a flip-flop in the bed, and you can imagine. It wasn't nice.
I think it's this, in supposedly drunk functional mode, I would think I'd done things when I hadn't. And I would look at someone incredulously if they came to see me saying, do you ever clean this flat? So, but I cleaned this morning, as thinking that I have when actually I haven't. And this kind of reckless approach to, I need to do that because somebody's coming.
Because someone's coming.
I better get the Hoover out because there's someone might be coming to knock on the door. I've got a delivery coming. Damn, I better have a shower. And I better make sure that I clean the bit they're going to see. And then I'm chucking a load of bags of stuff into the bedroom and closing the door. I used to dread a visit from my mum, thinking, how can I make this look presentable even though I know that it's not? And I'd get everything out and I'd go and get cleaning stuff, and I'd all good intentions, and I'd never get to the end of it.
No, I wouldn't either. It was like when I was cutting the grass, many a time I used to have a nice little drink lined up, cut the grass, but I'd never finish the grass. Never.
And I suppose that's it, isn't it? It's the not finishing, or thinking that I've done things when I haven't, or thinking that something looks okay when it isn't.
We're just moving one problem from one place to another, aren't you? I used to have my spare room, and everything got flung into the spare room, door shut, and that was it, and then brought back out afterwards.
Yeah, have I got a big enough wardrobe? If I've got a big enough wardrobe, I can just throw everything in it. And with a big enough wardrobe, everything gets thrown in it. And I can make it look like things are actually okay, when of course things aren't okay because I don't look okay.
I think I've actually done that this morning. I'm sure we've got a house group today, and I've kind of flung everything into the wardrobe and shut it, and then when I get back I'll just,
This is the thing, you see, because when I sobered up I could see what I was doing and all of that, and I wanted to clean things properly. And I still hold to that now. In sobriety, I keep a clean kitchen and I keep a clean bathroom. I can be a bit lackadaisical around the hoovering. But there's always a point when I look at the bathroom or I look at the kitchen, I think I need to clean it. And because I'm sober, it means I actually do clean it.
Proper deep,
And also I'm bothered about the space in which I live in a way that I wasn't when I was drunk. Because when I was drunk, it's that saying, isn't it? my park bench was my settee,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm living on that sofa, and I might as well be anywhere. It's not really that I have any great ownership of where I live, because it's just a place that's full of mess.
Yeah.
And the biggest mess in it is me. And of course, in putting the drink down, that's not how I want it to look where I live. And I don't want it to feel that way either.
No. I think there was a point when I had my house and I only lived in my bedroom. The whole house was actually very, very spotless, apart from dust that had settled. But my room was a complete and utter mess. I just lived in there, just lived in the room. So if my mum did come round, she would say it's quite clean in here.
Yeah, but you lived in your cave.
But I lived in my cave upstairs, so that was it. I just walked down the stairs, walked through the living room, walked through the kitchen. It was always takeaways as well, so my room was
Well, it's funny how we end up in one room, isn't it?
Yeah.
How everything devolves and diminishes until it's just me and a bottle. And because it diminishes to the point where it's just me and a bottle, I'm just sitting there in the same place all the time doing the same thing. I had a house. I had a 3-bedroom terrace. And by the end of my drinking there, it was me in one room.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's all it was. And I never got as far as the kitchen. In fact, no, I used to go through the kitchen to go to the bathroom, but the bathroom was the only other room that was actually used. I didn't even make it upstairs at the end. And when it came to having a house clearance done, I was thinking, well, hang on, what can I put in storage? And I didn't really know. I had to make a list and make another list, and it took quite a substantive amount of time for me to get any of that ready. And of course, living in a dry house environment, one is used to a diminished space because you have the one room, really. Yeah. But actually, that's okay if you keep it properly.
Yeah, it is, definitely.
And I actually keep it in a way that I want to live, whereas towards the end of my drinking, it wasn't about where I wanted to live. I didn't want to be there any more than I wanted to be anywhere else.
That's right.
And when I did go out, I knew what I was coming back to. And it did become like the Batcave, I suppose. Except I wasn't a superhero. And then I would do mad things, like I'd be dusting the walls, or I'd be climbing on furniture because I saw a spider's web or something, thinking, I desperately need to clean that. When actually in front of me there were several bottles, several cans, fag ash all over the place.
Yeah.
And I've managed to be sick on a plate. Oof. And I'm ignoring all of that because I've seen the spider's web.
Spider's web, yeah.
And then I wonder why people think I'm mad. And I wonder why anyone visiting thinks that I'm seriously ill.
Yeah.
By then, I think it didn't actually matter how much alcohol was involved.
No, it didn't.
Because it reaches the point where it's just a dose. And in terms of doing those day-to-day activities, I'd only have a shower when I had to go out. Or when I thought someone else was going to smell me.
Yeah.
If I didn't have a washing machine, there was no chance that I was going to wash anything.
No.
I mean, I went through a period without a washing machine and I had to give my clothes to someone else. But then after a while I was so embarrassed, I thought, no, I'm going to have to go to the laundrette with these because look at the state of everything I've been wearing. And then, of course, I look at it and think, hang on, I've been wearing the same clothes for... And I don't want to think about how many weeks.
No, you don't.
Because it really is that long. Yeah. How long is it since I cleaned? I think I've cleaned, but I haven't. How long is it since I changed my clothes? I don't even know what day it is or have any context.
No, you don't know what month it is, let alone what day of the week it is.
And so it takes a long time to wake up from that.
Yeah, it does.
And I suppose a lot of what we do on here in terms of highlighting the way that the illness manifests when the drink and drugs are taken away, the reason why I think that's important is because all of that behaviour is there.
Of course it is.
Just because I'm not drunk doesn't mean that I won't think that way. And there's a lot of behavioural change that needs to happen.
Well, you can see your behaviour's a lot clearer, can't you, when you're not dosed up from a drink or a drug.
And also, if I'm doing something that someone else notices, there's far more chance that I will listen.
Yeah.
It took me a while to learn that I needed to listen to what other people saw when they were looking at me.
Yeah, definitely.
That applies to my mental health as much as it does to alcoholism. Because in the end, when it came to my mental health, it took what other people were seeing to be relayed to a psychiatrist in the end. Because it's not enough for me to try and pinpoint my experience, and I don't know how I look to other people. Going back to the cleaning thing again, I think I've cleaned, I think I've covered it up in inverted commas, but actually I have not.
No.
Actually, I have no idea. I think it looks one way, but it looks another.
Yeah.
There's a great episode of The Simpsons, isn't there, where he goes to a party and he gets absolutely smashed and makes a pass at Ned Flanders, his wife. And then they ask Homer to describe the evening. And he describes it. The evening began with a delightful... It's this oldie-worldy painting. It's like a Noel Coward play. So his perception is that's what happened. But what actually happened is a complete blackout. There've got to be some alcoholics writing for that programme.
Oh, yeah. No, off.
Anyway, it's time to get back to the circuitous and meandering journey of Reg. And I believe he's going to see someone else, part of his troop of supporters. So he's off to see Gary this time. So we shall see.
He's putting a lot of hours in our Reg, isn't it?
Oh, he does. Never stops. Hello?
What's that?
Hello? Anyone in?
Oh, hang on.
I'll put the door back closed now.
Oh, Reg, thank God.
I'm not second coming, Gary.
No?
No.
I'm just glad it was you.
I'd say so. What would your old man say, leaving the door open in his precious less than legal warehouse?
Oh, yes, that.
He'd do somersaults in his grave, he would.
Reg.
Disturbing the choir invisible with his wailing.
But Reg.
Waking the dead from their eternal slumber.
Oh, come on.
And would the devil rise again to silence him?
No, I think my mum would do that.
Oh yeah, your mum. How is she?
Dead.
Oh yeah, how could I forget?
Well, she was dead the last time I checked.
True, not likely to be coming back.
No.
Hang on, last time you looked?
Yeah.
What you been doing? You keeping her corpse in the basement like that, you know, what's his face?
No, I don't know who you mean.
You do?
No, I don't.
Yes you do, and it's written all over your face.
I suppose I might.
I knew it, in fact the whole world knows it, especially now Brutus has heard about it.
Oh, no.
Won't be all bad, you know, when he stops selling your spiritual services, you'll make a few quid.
No, but I don't.
No?
No.
Why not?
What do you mean, why not? I don't know how to raise the dead. My unhealthy youthful obsession with human serial killers is an hour behind me, and I don't copy them. And it's not my fault. My old man is a chaotic, chronic bastard liar who faked his own death to escape his gambling debts.
I better not tell Brutus about the gambling.
You better not.
Well, I did...
You told him, didn't you?
Me?
Where were you going to get caught?
Oh, come on, Gary, even for you, that's imaginative.
You told Brutus about my dad and his resurrection. Then Tony the Wizard starts marketing me as a magic cat.
Oh, you see, there's the flaw in your already dodgy logic.
But it makes sense.
It does not. Tony can't hear what we're saying, can he?
I thought Rufus had found a way to.
Oh, yeah, the writing.
Yeah, and he told us he could write stuff for humans to read and...
Strangely enough, that was old Brutus on the con again.
Why am I not surprised?
Look, your old man is not really dead. We all know that. It's just a saying, because he's not here and he was always so precious about his shop, like it was a church or something.
True, seems like I never escaped his shadow door.
He did, believe me. The locked door was a joke.
A joke?
Well, he always locked it, because he didn't want no one knowing about his dodgy deals, did he?
Yeah, he did.
Whereas you don't care what anyone says, you only keep the door locked and keep the riffraff out.
I suppose I do, yeah.
And yet the door was open just now.
Yeah, it was.
And you've got a scratch I've only just noticed, only just missed your right eye.
Well,
And you're limping.
Yeah.
Why, something happened?
Suppose you could say that.
I'm all ears.
It was early this morning.
Feline time or human time?
Well, both, I suppose. About 3 a.m?
Well, some cats get their humans up at time for breakfast just to keep them on toes, don't they?
It wasn't like that, Reg.
So what was it like? More to the point, who was it?
You're not going to believe this.
Maybe I am.
No, really.
Try me.
I thought I was seeing things.
Have you been using them joss sticks again?
No,
Not on any of that funny herbal medication Brutus's mate Lenny is selling, are you?
No, and even if I wanted something like that, I wouldn't ask Lenny.
Nah, the cat with an opinion on everything and an answer for nothing.
True. Now, where was I?
It was 3 a.m, you was hallucinating and...
Well, not quite.
Not like that time you licked some LSD that hippie left on the floor.
No.
So you weren't done over by Bingo and Flegel moonlighting from the banana splits.
No.
Or Scooby-Doo driving the mystery machine.
No.
Look, we can skirt around it as long as you like. I'm in no hurry, since we've had a few setbacks on the mission and...
No, what's gone wrong?
Don't you change the subject, my boy.
I still think you're not going to believe me.
Well, you ain't told me nothing yet, have you?
I really did think I was seeing things.
How many of them?
Just 3.
That's a lot for 3 a.m, Gary. No wonder you got done over. Might be a kung fu cat, but you were at a disadvantage.
Who said I was a kung fu cat?
Fred,
Did you know?
you seem quite disturbed by your roundhouse kicks.
Reg, I ain't no Chuck Norris.
No, there can only be one.
The world don't go with two Chuck Norrises.
No, even the dark is petrified of him.
And then some.
So you're not a kung fu cat then?
Of course not. Not with my old dodgy hip.
Oh yeah, I've forgotten that.
Fred's just making up stories again.
Yes, he will do that sometimes.
If only Chuck Norris had been here.
Bit unlikely, but you never know.
It was the Dalton Twins.
What?
All three of them.
Never.
See, you never expected that, did you?
But I thought Bruno Dalton was lost at sea.
We all did.
Can't remember what happened, but it was Brutus what told me, and he was there.
There was obviously daring plan involved.
Well, their usual mad plan, yeah. Damien Darren probably gave him a surfboard directions to Cornwall, expecting him to roll up on the next day.
What, in southern Britain, eh?
Yeah, maybe a bit of a push even for them. But then those three have been trying to kill each other longer than they've held this city's feline community at ransom.
That's what I thought.
Even so, all three of them. You know, when they realised they wasn't twins, it was because their mum couldn't add up. They kept trying to work out which of them needed to die.
Strange logic, yeah.
And they came together to do you over at 3 a.m.
Yeah, something to do with a legal cat.
A legal cat?
They thought they'd actually beaten me unconscious, but I heard them as they left.
What'd they say?
They're coming after you too, Reg. They work for that shouty bloke in the train as his lawyer.
You are having a giraffe.
No, I heard them.
Even when you thought you were seeing things.
Yes.
Just check it.
We need a plan here, or they'll be back here, and they'll follow you to rectify the train.
Shit, I'm gonna need more than a carpet bomb.
Yes.
Oh, Reg.
Oh, I love you.
Reg.
Reg, don't call me cats.
The Dalton Twins, all three of them. Yes. We will be hearing from the Dalton Twins,
Yes.
all three of them,
Can't wait.
in an episode that is not yet recorded. Well, that's about it for today. So we're going to love you and leave you. And I'm going to stop faffing about with this bit of paper because it's making noise.
Oh, yeah, right.
So we will be back again next week. And if you have anything to communicate to us, then you can do so on the Changes Facebook page. There is usually one post for the podcast posting every week, and I put a video out every week too. Also, you can find us on Recovery Central on Twitter.
Yeah, please keep them comments coming because we do read them, we do. And it's nice to hear what your thoughts are on our programme.
And last but not least, if you've been in any way affected by anything that we've said and you feel that you need to talk to someone, then look. There are plenty of places you can ask for help. We're certainly, as we discovered from the interviews I did over the last couple of weeks, we're certainly more blessed than certain other countries when it comes to the kind of help we can access.
Indeed we are.
So do make the most of it should you need to. Otherwise, have a lovely weekend and we'll be back next week.
See you next week.